It kept on carrying for Vientos, who continues to impress.
Fly ball, center field.
Mark Vientos wins the game for New York!
The New York Mets have been one of baseball's very best teams over the past few months and have finally made their way into the MLB postseason. And considering how well they've been playing, no team would want to face New York's star-studded lineup in the playoffs. The two biggest names in this lineup are undoubtedly Francisco Lindor and Pete Alonso. These two juggernauts are already established superstars, and both of them, especially Lindor, have been a big part of the Mets' surge up the NL East standings. But some unsung heroes have quietly produced excellent seasons for the Mets, exceeding expectations and even showing that they could soon become names as big as Lindor and Alonso, given they keep performing the way they have. The perfect example of this is Mark Vientos. Vientos is a 24-year-old third baseman who's probably not known by most casual baseball fans. Yet, he's quickly becoming a fan favorite among Mets fans for performing when it matters most. In our eyes, Vientos has been flying under the radar, and the Yak fam just had to look under the hood to see just how good Mark Vientos really is. Through 93 games this season, Vientos has a .284 batting average, a .893 OPS, 24 home runs, and 64 RBIs. Two of those home runs occurred on September 6th, when the Mets were playing a home game against the Reds, the second of which was a majestic walk-off blast that gave New York a 6-4 win in their 8th consecutive victory. In hitting this home run, Vientos became the first third baseman in Mets history to have more than one walk-off home run. He also became the youngest Met with a multi-home run game in the history of the franchise at just 24 years and 270 days. What a night for the youngster. But does Vientos' impressive clutch gene make fans believe that he's better than he truly is? Well, that's why we're doing this video, to find out just how good Mark Vientos actually is. Taking a look at his baseball background and how he got to this point at just 24 years old tells us a lot about Vientos' baseball abilities and whether he can sustain the success he's amassed this season. Mark Anthony Vientos was born on December 11, 1999 in Norwalk, Connecticut. Vientos' mother was born in Nicaragua, while his father Charles was born in the Dominican Republic but left the country in favor of New York when he was young in order to find steady work. While living in New York, Mark's father became a New York Mets fan, and his favorite player was Mets legend David Wright, who manned third base for New York for over a decade. Both Charles Vientos' Mets fandom and his adoration for David Wright were passed on to Mark when he was born. It didn't take Mark long to want to follow in David Wright's footsteps. By the time he was just 14 years old, Vientos was busy establishing his name on the East Coast Travel Ball Exhibition and Showcase circuit, turning scouts' heads and impressing with his natural knack for finding barrels and fielding grounders. Vientos and his family moved down to Florida by the time he started high school, and the first 3 years of his high school career were at Charles W. Flanagan High School in Pembroke Pines, Florida. In 2016, Vientos switched schools prior to his senior season and began attending American Heritage High School in Plantation, Florida. Even though he was injured for much of his senior season with a quad injury, he made his time on the field count, hitting .417 with 1 home run and 4 stolen bases. By this point, there was no question that Vientos was a talented hitter who could hit line drives all around the field. But because Vientos was a pretty skinny kid growing up, he lacked a lot of the power numbers, which caused questions about whether he'd be able to develop into a true corner infielder in professional baseball, which are positions that are typically reserved for guys who can knock the ball out of the yard with consistency. However, this didn't stop the University of Miami from offering Vientos a scholarship to play baseball at their school. While Vientos did end up committing to play college baseball, the Mets came a-calling. The New York Mets selected an 18-year-old Mark Vientos in the second round, 59th overall of the 2017 MLB Draft. Because Vientos had been excited to play college baseball at a prestigious powerhouse school like Miami, it was probably a tough decision for him to decide whether he'd attend there or start his professional baseball journey. But his ultimate decision to sign with the Mets instead of playing college ball was likely influenced by two things. The Mets were his childhood favorite team, and they offered him a $1.5 million signing bonus. Suffice it to say that Vientos signed with the Mets. Would you have done the same thing as Vientos, or would you have preferred to play college baseball at an iconic school like Miami instead? Let us know in the comments section below. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any player profiles and baseball updates. After signing with the Mets in 2017, Vientos made his professional debut with the rookie-level Gulf Coast League Mets. After a brief and successful stint there, he was promoted to the Kingsport Mets of the rookie-level Appalachian League. Over 51 games between the two clubs, he batted .262 with 4 home runs and 26 RBIs. During this first offseason, Vientos seemed to realize that he needed to pack on more power if he was to succeed as a third baseman. So he added more weight to his frame before the 2018 season, which was spent with the Kingsport Mets. And the offseason effort Vientos put in paid off through the .287 average with 11 home runs and 52 RBI in 60 games that he produced. In 2019, Vientos played with the Columbia Fireflies of the Single-A South Atlantic League. He hit .255 with 12 home runs, 62 RBI, and 27 doubles over 111 games, and was named the Mets Minor League Hitter of the Year once the season ended. Vientos sat out the 2020 season due to the COVID-19 pandemic before starting the 2021 year with the Binghamton Rumble Ponies of the AA Northeast League. After slashing .281 with 22 home runs and 59 RBIs over 72 games, he was promoted to the AAA Syracuse Mets in early September. Vientos began the 2022 season in Syracuse and was selected to represent the Mets at the 2022 All-Star Futures Game. Over 101 games with Syracuse that season, he hit .280 with 24 home runs and 72 RBI. By this point, having proven that he's a legitimate power hitter in professional baseball. On September 10, 2022, the Mets promoted Vientos to the major leagues and made his MLB debut the next night. If you've been enjoying learning about Mark Vientos and want to see more videos about budding MLB superstars, be sure to subscribe to our channel, because we got plenty of similar content coming your way. 5 days after his MLB debut, Vientos recorded his first major league hit, which was a single off Eric Stout of the Pirates. 9 days after that, Vientos hit his first major league home run against Ken Waldichuk of the A's. Vientos ended that brief tenure with the Mets in 2022 with a .167 batting average, 1 home run, 3 RBIs, and 12 strikeouts in 16 games played. He then started the 2023 season back at AAA Syracuse and went on a tear for the first month and a half of regular season action, amassing 13 home runs and a whopping on-base plus slugging percentage or OPS of 1.104. Because the Mets were struggling for offense at that point, they decided to call Vientos up once again in the middle of May. He made his 2023 MLB debut on May 16th, playing third base against the Rays and hitting a game-tying home run in the 7th inning. While many Mets fans believe this early success would end up being enough to convince New York to keep Vientos with the big league squad, he ended up going back and forth between AAA and MLB. In 65 games played with New York in 2023, Vientos batted .211 with 9 home runs and 22 RBI. Once again, Vientos started the 2024 season in AAA, although he would get called up to the Mets about a month into the season after veteran outfielder Starling Marte went on the bereavement list. Despite the short-notice fill-in, he would go 3 for 4 with 3 hits, 2 RBIs, 1 run, and a walk-off home run in the 11th inning, which was the first of his 2 walk-off home runs this season. Still, this wasn't enough to keep Vientos in New York for good, as he was demoted back to AAA Syracuse on April 30th when Starling Marte was activated from the bereavement list. But Vientos returned to New York on May 15th. After a few strong performances, he ended up winning the starting third base job. And given that Vientos' current stats this season are a .281 average with an .887 OPS, 24 home runs, and 62 RBIs, there's no chance he'll find his way back into the minor leagues anytime soon. As of early September 10th, 2024, Vientos' slugging percentage is .548 at 4th in the National League, which is a huge feat. Vientos' hard work is paying off against velocity. As of 3/24/24, with 131 pitches over 95 miles per hour in 2023 in AAA, his batting average was .184. Many people wrote him off and thought he'd never make it to the majors. Fast forward to this year, and as of the 7th of September, he faced 205 pitches of 95 plus with a .352 average in the MLB. He's definitely been working on his game, and it's showing. And it's not just those baseline stats that display how impressive Vientos has been this season. Taking a closer look at his advanced metrics from Baseball Savant shows the true impact he's had with the Mets this season. Baseball Savant shows that Vientos has a batting run value or BRV of 21 this season, which is indicated as great and puts him in the 89th percentile of all MLB hitters. Batting run value measures a hitter's performance based on every pitch they see and factors in every possible variable there is. His having a 21 BRV means that he's generated 21 more runs than an average MLB third baseman. That sounds pretty good to us. That being said, Vientos' advanced stats and baseball's other facets aren't nearly as strong as his hitting. His base running run value measures a player's contributions on the base paths based on activity during the run of play, on stolen base attempts, from tag-up situations, and other advancement opportunities, is at a -1, which is classified as poor and puts him in the 18th percentile of MLB third basemen. Although that isn't Vientos' poorest stat, his fielding run value, a metric that measures a baseball player's defensive performance on a run-based scale, is at a -6 on the season, which is poor enough to put him in the 9th percentile of MLB third basemen. This essentially means that Vientos has allowed 6 more runs against the Mets than an average third baseman. So what does this all mean? Well, for one, Vientos is undoubtedly a good hitter, but his base running and fielding metrics also show that he still has a lot of developing to do until he reaches his true potential. And that makes a lot of sense, especially considering that Vientos is just 24 years old. Of course, he still has room for improvement in his game. But what's perhaps the most promising aspect of Vientos is that he is, by all accounts, an excellent teammate and a crucial part of the Mets' infectious clubhouse culture, which is a core reason why they've rebounded so well from their poor start and have been playing like one of baseball's best teams this season. Vientos' value off the field can't be quantified. He's become an invaluable member of a young Mets core that looks like it can not only compete deep into the postseason in 2024, but can be perennial World Series contenders for the next 5 to 10 years if they can keep their young players healthy and together. All of these young players, Vientos, Francisco Alvarez, Christian Scott, and many others who are still in the minor leagues, have a lot of developing to do. But given that Mark Vientos is already as good as this video proves he is, Mets fans have a lot to be excited about for the years to come. Thanks for watching, and the Yak fam appreciates you for making us part of your day. And if you like this video, give us a thumbs up.